Welcome to episode 25 of On the Wild. I'm Anuj Basker. With me as always, Riley Keenan.
Yes, sir.
It's a series.
Yeah, best of three now.
Yeah, the Bucks beat the Suns last night at the time we were recording.
Finally.
Yeah.
It was like the first time we've actually had like a good schedule. For
Literally. Every time we'd like predict a game, it would happen on Friday and we'd be proved completely wrong.
Oh, yeah. We'd say Middleton's playing horrible. He ends up dropping 35.
Yeah. But this time, the game is on Saturday, so this is going to be kind of like a review, sort of a preview to Saturday's game. But what did you think of last night's game?
I mean, Middleton's a closer. I mean, that guy, he popped off. I mean, him and Booker, I think they're like the fourth opposing players to drop 40 in a finals game. First time since 2001 when Shaq and AI did it. Yeah. So that was cool to watch. It was good to see Booker kind of come into his own again because he struggled in game 3. But
mightily struggled. He scored 10 in game 3, and he scored, I think, 20 in the first half or something. Yeah,
and he was he was 3 for 14 last game. This game he was balling out. I think he was like 17 for 28. But all I keep replaying in my mind is that Giannis block. That is one of the greatest plays I've ever seen in basketball. Mm-hmm. I think that goes down as the second greatest block ever. I mean, it's hard to top LeBron because the moment alone is so big. Game 7, minute left, right before the Kyrie shot.
I think in terms of just like pure physical ability, I think it's right there.
Yeah. And I mean, like he looked like a cornerback on that play because he's penetrating Booker and then he has to turn around to block a alley-oop from Ayton, which is just insane. And then I think a possession or two later, he forces Chris Paul to turn it over, creating
which, by the way,
one dagger.
Chris Paul, I don't know what was wrong with him last night, but he just...
Something looks off. Yeah.
He was off. I don't know if it's like an injury that's not being reported. Mm-hmm. But this is 2 straight games now where he hasn't been really that good.
Because he hasn't been effective scoring-wise either, which isn't always his game. But facilitating-wise, he hasn't been the guy to be like, all right, I'm going to bring the ball up. I'm going to get everyone involved. It's kind of been like, all right, Booker, do your own thing here.
Yeah, he had 5 turnovers last night.
Yeah, he's had 9 in the last 2 games. I think 15 in the last 3, which is just unheard of from Chris Paul.
Yeah, and he had that costly turnover to Giannis, like you said, with like a minute left, which kind of like put the game away because then Middleton got fouled?
Yeah, it was and one. Booker fouled him as like 9th foul of the game, which he still didn't foul out, which still boggles my mind. I swear like 3 minutes left in the third quarter, they said he had 5 fouls. I guess they made a mistake, but then he had like 3 more fouls in the fourth quarter. I was so lost.
Yeah, the referees kind of blew that. Yeah. A clear foul on, I think it was Holiday on a layup. Wrapped him up. They didn't call it.
Yeah, and then he fouled Middleton on another layup. They didn't call it either. Mm-hmm. So he got lucky to be in that game alone.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was balling out. It was great to see Middleton, come into his own once again. Holiday, I mean...
He's still, and he's inconsistent.
Yeah, he's been productive. Like, he was locking up Chris Paul. Obviously, Chris Paul really wasn't playing that great, but he's a perennial all-defensive guy. Offensively, I don't want him taking 20 shots a game, especially if he's only going to hit 4. Like, there was one, string of plays where I think he took 3 shots in a row, 2 in the same possession, where he did a step back 3, he did like a teardrop after like doing a Euro, and then he did a fadeaway too. It's like you didn't hit any of them. Why are you taking these crazy shots? Just get the ball to Middleton or Giannis right now.
Yeah.
Or even Portis. Like he's been playing well as well.
But in my personal opinion, the Suns blew that game last night.
Yeah, I think
they should have won that.
That was their game to win because they were up for a bit. It was very close. It was nice to see a finals game so far where it's been back and forth rather than teams up by 15, they come back and then it just goes back up again.
All 3 games have kind of before the last night's game have been kind of like blowouts.
Yeah.
Like where the opposing team was never really in it, even though the score is like semi-close.
Yeah.
But last night was like back and forth. But I think the Suns blew that game. I think it was right there to take, and they just...
Yeah. I do think that the Bucks shot themselves in the foot a little bit too with the way they played and the way they were shooting. But yeah, I agree. Like the Suns lost it, and it really came down to turnovers for me. You look at like their starters; I think they each had like 3+ or 2+. Meanwhile, the Bucks each had only 1 each. I think.
Mm-hmm. I think they had like 17 turnovers as a team, which at this point in the season will not win you games.
Yeah, and like the way Giannis was able to kind of take a step back offensively, and it wasn't even really a step back. He still had 26.
He had 26 and 14.
Yeah, and he had 8 assists. He was getting everybody involved. Like that's exactly what I want to see from him in that game. He's propelled to a completely different level in the finals. He's got Shaq-esque numbers from when he was in LA those 3 years.
Yeah,
it's just great to see. He's the most dominant player in basketball.
I think before last game, he was 22 of 23 in the restricted area.
Yeah.
In like the last 2 games or something like that.
I love too, like, obviously when he's in an away game, they're chanting, 1-2, because he's taking forever at the line. But when he's at home, it's just dead silence.
Yeah, no one says anything.
Yeah. It really, like, so far everybody's won at home. And I remember going into this series, we both talked about how I don't think Milwaukee wins a game in Phoenix. But now, I don't know if Phoenix is going to win a game in Milwaukee. Because the crowd's rabid, and they're just, they just seem like a different team when they're playing at home.
Yeah. And now it's been like that since really the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
Even against Brooklyn, it was the same thing. And they pulled one out in Brooklyn in Game 7. But, yeah, I don't know. My pick is done. I picked Suns in 5. I think the Suns are going to take Game 5.
Yeah, I do too. I think, honestly, if they convincingly win Game 5, I think they'll win Game 6 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That'd be cool if my prediction goes well, but I'd like to see a 7-game series. I love the way the Bucks are playing.
Of course. These teams are like... remember when we said like the Bucks just don't match up well with the Suns, and they ended up winning 2 straight games.
2 in a row, yeah.
Yeah, so they've made some adjustments, obviously, but this has been a lot. This has been a really good series.
Yeah, it's been one of my favorite finals to watch in the last 10 years, honestly, because obviously like the Warriors and Cavs was always cool, like a lot of stars were playing, but besides 2016, it really wasn't all that close.
It was always kind of predictable.
And even in 2016, they were all blowouts.
Except Game 7.
Yeah, except Game 7. And I mean, the Raptors, Golden State, like obviously, the last series was incredible because we're like Raptors fans. So, and I love Steph Curry as well. But this has been the one series where it's just been like there's been no clear favorite. I
think the Suns were like
they were
prohibited, not prohibited. They were the favorites.
They were the favorites, but the best player on the court is on the other team. Yeah. And Middleton is a guy, and you could put Holiday in there as well. It's just guys that they can have a huge game. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll see a bigger game from Holiday in Game 5. I don't know about Middleton because
Middleton's very inconsistent.
Yeah, he's up in the air.
You always see like those memes on Instagram. He's either prime Michael Jordan or Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, literally.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
There's no consistency.
He's a great player, but yeah, he's very inconsistent. But he can go on a run. Like if he starts 0 for 9, as soon as he starts hitting shots, like it's over.
Yeah, he's one of those players. If he sees one go in, like they're all gonna go in.
Yeah. But what
very streaky.
I do love about him and Booker is just the confidence alone. Is that if they're having a bad game, they're still putting up shots. Like I know Kobe would always say that. Like, if I'm 1 for 20, like I'm still going to put up 15 more shots. Like that's a good mentality to have, I'd say, for the most part. If you were a top level player,
if you're that type of player, then yeah, that's a good mindset. If you're bottom of the bench,
yeah, he shouldn't be that much. But yeah. I mean, and Cam Johnson too. He's a guy that I think he deserves more minutes.
Cam Johnson is so good.
He's so good.
He's such a good player.
And he deserves more minutes. I think he should get more shot opportunities. They don't ever really run. It's kind of like Ayton, where they don't necessarily run plays for him. It kind of just comes through and they figure it out themselves.
He's usually just in the corner.
Yeah, I think if they ran the plays through Ayton and Johnson more, I think the Suns could be really successful because everyone's so focused on Booker and Paul when he's in transition that. It opens up the court. And you see Jay Crowder in Game 3. He struggled first 2 games, but he was balling out. Game 4, he was solid. And then you got Mikal Bridges, too. Like, he's a guy that takes a lot of shots, sometimes not the best ones. So I think if he passes it up a couple times, like, everyone else getting involved.
I think they should bring Booker more off ball. Maybe set an off-ball screen with Ayton, get him on the wing. Then you have 2 options. Either take a jump shot at the elbow or pass it down to Ayton for a layup. Yeah. Stuff like that. Just let Chris Paul run this show more because I feel like that'll make him more comfortable. And it'll just get him more ingrained into the game rather than just giving it to Booker and letting him ISO.
I also think this series, the saying is offense wins games, defense wins championships. I think that really holds true in these finals because you saw it in Game 4, like the bigger defensive players came out and they were able to dominate at the end. Like Giannis, obviously that block was huge, but we talked about it on the last episode about penetrating and then, giving the alley-oop or just taking it and doing a little fadeaway. You could see Giannis, like the intelligence he has defensively. It's what we wanted to see in that Brooklyn series against KD, but we're seeing it now where he's so intelligent. Like he's he's adapting basically. In that play, like he would have never blocked that shot Game 1 or 2, maybe even Game 3. But he's got to be watching tape, obviously. But he knows that play's coming now. And so he was right there with Paul. He's going to be able to block that shot if he takes it, and or Booker, sorry. And he passed it up, he gets a huge block. So
I like how honest he is too.
Yeah,
he said like I thought I was going to get dunked on.
Yeah,
and literally if
Ayton
did literally anything else, he would have.
Yeah,
he would have gotten the shot because if he put it off the backboard, I think Giannis said if he put it off the backboard, it would have been a goal.
Yeah, it was a bucket.
And if he did a layup, then that would have allowed him to like adjust in the air. But
yeah.
That was a great play by Giannis.
Yeah, it would have been nice for Ayton to hit that shot, though, because he was struggling. I mean, he had 17 rebounds. He was playing pretty good defense, but offensively, he was struggling. I think he was like 3 for 9.
And the situation, too, they were down 2.
Yeah.
It was tied the game up.
It had shades of Tatum on Adebayo blocking Tatum with like the last second in that. I think it was like game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Was it game 1?
I think so. Maybe game 2.
It was an earlier game.
Yeah. But I mean, very similar to that. And just what a game, really. And the rest of the series is super interesting to watch because you really don't know who's going to win it. You favor the home team a lot because the crowds have just been so incredible. And Phoenix, like, I love watching that crowd. Like, just, you know, I love too when teams, like, they have the colors picked out. Like, if they have an orange section or a yellow section, like, it just looks aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. I think Game 5 is obviously going to be the most important game of the series, but I think whoever wins that will win the series in 6 games.
I agree. I don't think this one goes 7.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go 7.
I just think the momentum the team that wins Game 5 is going to have is going to take them to Game 6.
Because if the Suns win, then all the pressure is on Milwaukee to win Game 6 at home.
For sure.
And that could work for them, but I think Booker, Chris Paul, the way that they played against the Clippers in Game 6, they're going to take that same energy to Game 6 in Milwaukee.
For sure.
And if Milwaukee wins Game 5, then they're not losing Game 6.
They're at home in that game,
Winning 3 straight, you're crushing the confidence of Phoenix.
I'm super curious to see how Giannis is going to shoot free throw wise in Phoenix now, because obviously in Phoenix he was struggling, and in Milwaukee he's coming to his own. He's been hitting shots. I think he was like 13 for 17.
We've said it before. He should just speed it up. He speeded it up a little bit.
He's psyching himself out, is what it really is. Like it's not. I don't know if he's nervous or he's not confident, but it's a weird situation. He didn't ever do that before.
Because when you're there for that long. Like, free throws are supposed to be quick, so you don't think about them.
Yeah.
He's there for, like, 10 seconds doing his whole routine. Like, it gets to your head.
Yeah, and especially when the fans are added to that now. It's like it's making it even worse. Like, they know, and he's aware that they know he's struggling.
It just killed me when that reporter was like, do you hear them? Like, what do you think? It's like 20,000 people.
Yeah, literally. We hear him at home.
Yeah. He's in the arena. How would he not hear him?
Yeah, I think he comes out Game 5 and shoots well from the line. I think he'll kind of block out the fans because I think being in Milwaukee was so good for him just to like have that silence and to be like, all right, this is my moment. Like I'm gonna hit these shots. Now I feel like he's gonna be able to block him out. Like you can say that you're blocking them out in Game 1 and 2, but I really don't think he was. Like he was shooting so badly.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't airballed it yet, which has been good, but. I mean, yeah, he's progressed a lot, so that's good.
So what do you have in Game 5? Phoenix or Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think if I were to pick like a score differential, I think Phoenix wins by like 6 or 7. I think they just maybe honestly more. I think they might win by double digits. I just think they're going to come out very angry with a chip on their shoulder that they just lost 2 in a row, and I don't think Chris Paul is anywhere near complacent with how he's played in Milwaukee. So he's going to want to come out playing ball.
Yeah, I think Phoenix will win. I think it'll be a close game up until like a few minutes left, and then Phoenix will take it over.
Yeah, they're going to pull away.
And they'll win by like 12 or 13 points.
Yeah.
If I were to guess.
Because at the end of the day, too, like Booker is the best closer in the series because you don't know what you're getting from Middleton most times. Like obviously he was incredible last night, but like in the third quarter, Booker was just knocked down. He hit like 5 in a row.
No, he hit all his shots. He was 7 for 7.
Yeah, 7 for 7. Like he couldn't miss, and he was taking good quality shots. But a lot of the time too, it was like a shot.
And if he wasn't in foul trouble, I think Phoenix.
Yeah,
wins.
Exactly. That's the thing too. He if he doesn't have 5 fouls there, which maybe he had 4 in the third quarter. I really don't know. It was weird.
He finished the quarter with 5.
Yeah.
Or no, he got his 5th foul like really early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So he had to sit for.
Yeah, and I think he had like his 4th with like 3 minutes left in the third, so he didn't play the rest of the third, and he was very, I wouldn't say cautious, but because he still was pretty aggressive the rest of the game, but you could tell there was like a little bit there where he's like, okay, I can't make the play I want to make.
That's what happens when you have 5 fouls.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of conservative.
Yeah, if I have 5 fouls, I'm not touching the guy.
Especially in an NBA Finals game, and you're the most important player, the best player on your team, you have to be careful.
Yeah, and obviously like you can't hand check, but like. You know they got hands on each other. He can't really do that in that situation. So I knew it was good on him to not foul out. Well, I think he did.
He did. He fouled multiple times.
Yeah, but good on him to stay in the game and just battle the way he did.
He looked pissed.
Oh, he was
at the end of the game. The way he walked out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the way after he shot a layup and he missed it and he was yelling about the foul. I don't think he got fouled there, to be honest with you.
At the end of the game?
Yeah.
Where
I think it was Middleton that was on him.
Was it Middleton?
Or at least he jumped.
I think it may have been Tucker. Tucker or Middleton.
Yeah. I think it was Tucker, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, he was livid.
Painful. He had his back on like the corner of the net.
That's the one thing that worries me about these NBA guys, man. Like, I'm not gonna say they don't know how to land. They obviously know how to land, but they're trying to bait a foul. But sometimes it just gets so dangerous where it's like one of these guys is gonna hurt themselves, like their ankle or their wrist landing on the ground.
Also, did you see the FIBA refs and how they're like pissing off the Team USA players?
They're
not getting foul calls.
I saw like a clip on Instagram. There was like 8 things. Like 4 of them were Lillard, where he's just jumping in and then shooting.
Yeah, I saw one of Kevin Love. He like pump faked and leaned into the guy and they didn't call the foul. I was like, thank you, bring this guy into the NBA.
This is what we need in the NBA. You take that out of the game, it makes it so much more enjoyable. It makes it consistent.
Obviously, some of them, if you're being physical, it's a foul. Yeah. But like stuff like that needs to be taken out of the game.
Yeah, like if a guy's already in the air and you're not already shooting, if you're leaning into him, I never understood how that's a shooting foul.
Now, if he jumps into you and you pump, that's a foul. But if you lean forward and shoot, that's not a foul. That's an offensive foul.
Yeah, it's an offensive foul. And if you're not going to call it an offensive foul, just call it a personal foul. It really shouldn't be shooting because he wasn't shooting. Because like you look at, there was a play there where Giannis, he did a Euro, he goes up to shoot and he got fouled and he lands and then he passes it out. They called it a personal foul because he passed it out. It's like that just like totally contradicts the shooting foul that you're calling on these shots. So it's really weird.
I heard Jeff Van Gundy say something last night like, you can't foul and you can't appear to foul either. Yeah. So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. Van Gundy's been great.
He's speaking fast.
Yeah, he's been great in these finals.
Like, what do you do? What can you do as the defender?
Even in that conference final series when they're the foul tip out of bounds, like he's just being real with everybody, and I love it.
Because it's like it's true. Like if you touch the ball you can review every single out of bounds play. Then
it should just be the guy who's leading it out of bounds.
Yeah, that's the rule. That's the rule. Whoever forces it to go out of bounds, not necessarily who touches it. Obviously that's part of it, but whoever forces it to go out of bounds, that's who it's off.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it already a bit, but like the NBA is going to do a deep dive on fouls. I feel like this summer because there's just been such a big debate about them too, and just a lot of angry players, more so than they already have been in the past. So I mean, I think next year
they have to because it's kind of ruining the game.
Yeah, it really is. And it'd be nice if they added. I think one of the things too is just play on. Like you see it in soccer, you see it in hockey. Sometimes it's like you don't always have to call a foul if 2 guys fall down. It can just be, you know what, they were battling for the ball, they both went down. Play on. They're both out of the play. You don't need to call it all the time because it causes a rift between the 2 players. They're going to get angry. And
it's not going to make anybody mad because players will just adjust to it just the way they adjust to the rules that are in place now.
Yeah, and then the game just slowly becomes more physical in that because players are able to
we don't want
get
fights.
Away with it.
We don't want fights and stuff. We just want like the defender to be able to make a play.
Yeah. Exactly. Speaking of physicality, though, switching gears, UFC 264 took place on Saturday. Yeah. We're not the biggest UFC guys.
Yeah, very, very casual.
Yeah. We watch the pay-per-views, usually the bigger names.
Always the bigger names.
Yeah, I don't know much. I'm trying to learn slowly. A lot of our friends like it a lot, so we kind of like have to learn it a bit. But yeah, I mean, you watched Poirier McGregor.
I did. I only watched that fight. I didn't watch the
same. But yeah, I mean, I was shook, man. Like,
yeah, it was gross.
Off the bat, like, you're like, wow, this is going to be a good fight. And then they get to the ground, and usually, like, when they're on the ground, I'm like, all right, come on, like, let's get up here. Like, it's getting kind of boring. But it was thoroughly entertaining, like, the whole round. They were both getting shots in. It looked like Poirier like, was the aggressor for the most part. Mm-hmm. But then I remember, like, the round ends, and McGregor's still sitting there, and you're like, what? And then he just points at his ankle, and you look at it, and you're like, how did I not notice that? Like, it's clearly broken.
It was gross. It was just like the way it was bent. It was
And then, like, for me, like, when he went down, I thought Poirier rocked him. Like, I thought he just hit him with the hook, and it was
missed. Yeah, it was just his leg.
Yeah, it wasn't until the replay, and like, Poirier after the fight's going on about how he checked him. He was like, yeah, like it was a check. I hit him earlier. That's what checked, and then boom, it broke on its own. But now they're coming out and saying that he had like partly fractured his foot before the fight even happened.
McGregor did.
Yeah. Or McGregor at least came out and said that. He could be lying. I really don't know. He seemed pretty emotional, pretty aggressive after the fight. Making comments about DMs and Poirier's wife, which wasn't necessary.
He went out bad. He went out
pretty bad. I could not understand what he was saying for the moment. I'm Irish and I didn't know what he was saying. I saw a video with subtitles and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, I saw a comment under a meme. It's like, Conor went out like a straight up Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't over.
Yeah, literally. I would like to see another Poirier-McGregor fight, but I think it's, with the little knowledge I know, I think it's all Poirier. I think he's probably one of the best going right now. Probably top 3 or something like that, I think. Is what I've heard.
Okay, this is the way I see it. If you're an MMA fan, please let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah, if we're wrong, just call us out, honestly.
Literally, we're trying to learn.
Yeah.
But he's literally like Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
McGregor is.
Yeah, just on a high horse for a while.
He'll always like sell a fight. Like he's a big name, just the way Rousey was when she was like on the top of the game.
Yeah.
And even though she lost to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, she still is able to sell fights, and she's still a really big draw. Like she went to WWE, and she's a huge draw.
She killed it there.
Yeah.
I think she was a main event at one point.
Huge star. McGregor's the same thing. He'll always be able to sell a fight, but he's not as good, if not like the best, at his weight class.
Yeah.
And he's not even really close.
And it's also really comparable to Rousey is when she was at the top of her game, she loses to Holmes, loses to Nunes, and it kind of just spiraled out from there.
Yeah.
Same thing with McGregor. As soon as that Floyd-Mayweather fight happened, he's only won one fight since. And he's been in rough shape a lot of the time. And I think this moment here when
and activity too.
Yeah.
He's only fought, I think, 5 times in 4 years, or 4 times in 5 years.
Yeah, like he's always going to be a massive draw, but it's the productivity that he's going to put out is not going to be the same. And I think fans know it too.
And people talk about a lot about desire too, like, and he shot it down in an interview, but it's a real thing. Like when he was the highest earning athlete last year.
Yeah,
according to I think it was Forbes.
He's saying he's going to be a billionaire by 35.
Yeah, so when you have that much money, do you really want to get punched
exactly.
in the face?
Like as you're coming on the up and coming, you have so much fight and this mentality's crazy.
Like
once you're there, it's different.
You can say that you still have that fire.
Yeah.
Until you get in there and you're like, oh, and if you lose, you're like, oh, I still have this, and this. Whereas back in 2014 when he was still, not a household name and he wasn't, in a 5-star hotel, chef cook meal all the time. Like if he lost a fight, that was detrimental to his career. Now I don't even know how much he's worth. I think he's worth in like 500 million.
Yeah,
something like that. Something crazy.
And also like he had the mentality like I'm the best going right now. He can win any fight. He still has that mentality to this day, which in a way is good to have that mentality. You still think you're the best, but also it comes a point where you have to kind of understand your role where it's like, you know what, I'm not the best anymore. Mm-hmm. I have to fight almost a different way so that I can protect myself more so than be always aggressive.
Develop those skills.
Yeah. Early on.
Think about it. Like Khabib took him to the ground.
Yeah.
Like I know he kind of tried the guillotine on Poirier.
Yeah, he had it for like a little bit,
which was a mistake according to like the commentators and a lot of like
analysts the whole time he had him, and I was like, oh, let's go. And then they were like, this is brutal for McGregor. I'm like, wow. What that just shows how little I know.
Just like developing those skills to like be able to fight in every single situation.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if we'll ever see them fight again. I know
they will.
I had one friend say that Diaz McGregor 3 is a big one that needs to happen because apparently they're 1-1.
Yeah, that'll happen. And another thing about McGregor is that aura is gone. That like when he would walk into a room, he'd scare his opponent.
Whoever was in there. Now it's kind of like a fun environment,
intimidating.
Almost. Yeah,
like you see, like he would get in their heads. Like remember Eddie Alvarez when he became like the double champ?
Yeah,
it was obvious that he was in his head. And it showed in the fight. He finished him, I think, in a round.
Yeah. And Poirier even commented before the fight even happened. He's like, I'm not letting him get in my head anymore. I don't care what he has to say. He's
just a man now.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of nonsense is what he's talking about. And he's right in a way. Because if you're not going to back it up, Poirier knocked him out the second fight. So it's like Poirier's on his high horse there. He's confident in himself. He doesn't give a crap what he really has to say. And, he's rightfully so in that standard. But, yeah, I don't know what happens next in the UFC, to be honest. What's 265?
Yeah, I think it just goes in numbers. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're not, I mean...
Yeah, we're not well-versed in that just yet. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But the AFC South is what we're looking at today.
Yeah, this is the second week of our NFL divisions. Looked at the NFC South last week, doing the AFC South this week, so we're staying in the South.
Yeah.
Just right off the bat, Texans, not a factor.
Yeah, they are second worst rushing in the league. They lost more than they received this year, or in the offseason. And Deshaun Watson is up in the air.
That whole situation is kind of like, I haven't heard a lot about it in the last month.
And that can't be good for Texans morale as well. Like you just not knowing your franchise quarterback's going to be there.
I think Adam Schefter was on the Chris Collinsworth podcast this past week, and he said that he doesn't see a way that Deshaun Watson's going to play for them ever again.
It doesn't look good.
So I'll take his word on that. And he already wanted out to begin with in this legal situation. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I think he's out of Houston. When we'll see. I don't think he'll play this year. For Houston at least, but I don't think he'll play at all.
Yeah.
Or at least half the year.
I think the Texans will be the worst team in the NFL this year, to be honest.
One of them.
I could see them winning 2, maybe 3 games. I think this division is going to be tough to be in. And as well, in the AFC is just so strong right now that it's going to be really hard to get games, especially if you don't have a number 1 QB.
They're a bottom of the barrel team.
Yeah, for sure.
They're just a mess right now.
And then with the Jaguars, they're just extremely young.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 pick in the NFL. It's going to be really cool to see what he can do there. Mm-hmm. You know, DJ Chark's talking about how, people are looking at them as a team that's not going to make big impact, but he thinks they're underrated. He thinks that they can do a lot more. They got a winning culture. Like, they even got Etienne in the draft who played with Lawrence, so they're going to have a good 1-2 punch there.
Urban Meyer, he's a winner, at least in college. We'll see how that translates.
Yeah. They're a very young team.
Very young. I think they'll be competitive.
Yeah, I think
they'll start really slow. Like, they'll start like 2-5 or 2-6, and then as the season goes on, they'll get better and they'll win a few games at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can see them winning like 5, 6, maybe even 7 games. I don't think they'll be anywhere near above 500, but they'll have a good season, a good first year for Lawrence, and then from there on it'll look good. I think a lot of the time
they'll have a bad record, but it'll be a promising season.
Yeah, I think they'll be kind of like a team that they can put up points, but they just can't stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like when you're playing the Chiefs. Like you can put up 25, but you're going to give up 40.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that offense will take some time to get used to, just because he's going into a new league.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence is, so it'll take some time for him to adjust to the new league. But who knows? Maybe he'll play like Herbert did last year and just tear the league up from the start. But
he could break the touchdown record if anyone's going to do it. It looks like it could be him, especially with the receiving core they have there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty damn good.
But this division to me it's a 2-team division.
Yeah, it's really up in the air at the top.
Yeah.
And it can go either way. A lot of people, it's very like you're either Colts or you're Titans. Like you think definitively they're going to do well.
I personally think the Colts are going to win.
I agree.
I think the Titans got Julio Jones, obviously, but their defense is still suspect.
Yeah, I don't trust their secondary, and I don't trust their pass rush, even with the addition of Bud Dupree.
Yeah, Bud Dupree, it's risky, too, because he's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah.
They gave him a 5-year, $85 million contract.
Oh, yeah.
Coming off a torn ACL. The secondary, they lost a lot of their corners. They got Caleb Farley.
Yeah.
But we don't know if he's going to be ready for week 1.
And lost Jonnu Smith as well.
I liked him. Yeah, they lost Jonnu Smith on offense.
Jadeveon Clowney defensively.
He wasn't that big of a factor last year for them, but obviously you'd rather have Clowney than not have him.
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest loss is Arthur Smith. He's the head coach in Atlanta now.
Yeah, I could see, I think Tannehill's still going to be well above average quarterback. He's been one of the best in the league since joining in 2019. But I think he will regress a bit without Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I think I compare this to what Atlanta did with Shanahan, and I think the Titans made a good move in the fact that they hired from within rather than hiring a guy from
the outside.
They hired Steve Sarkisian when Shanahan went to go coach the 49ers, which was a mistake because they had Matt LaFleur on their staff, but they could have just upgraded, which is what the Titans did here. So I don't think there'll be that big of a drop-off, but when you're losing a guy like Arthur Smith, who, looking at the numbers, he's one of the best offensive play callers in the NFL, top 5, maybe even top 3, you're going to take a step back regardless of the talent that you have.
Yeah. And, I mean, Derrick Henry is incredible. He's the best running back in the league, I think. But they are a very Derrick Henry-dependent team. And we saw that in the AFC wildcard round against the Bills, I think. Or no, the Ravens, sorry.
Ravens.
He just couldn't get yards. He couldn't get anywhere. They knew they were going to run the ball, and their pass game wasn't working because the run game wasn't effective. I think the addition of Julio Jones is going to help that a lot.
That's definitely going to help because you're going to have to – you're not just going to leave him on an island in the corner. He's going to cook him all day.
And the same thing with that. A.J. Brown is going to take another step up, another year older. And with Julio there, he's going to learn a lot from Julio, but he's also going to have pressure taken off because Julio is going to be heavily guarded and heavily focused on so that he's going to be able to do his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think this division comes down to Carson Wentz and how good he plays, because if he plays good, because I think the Colts have the best defense in the division, they have good enough weapons, their offensive line is good. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think Nyheim Hines is still there, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know they re-signed Marlon Mack.
I think Marlon Mack's the one who left.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they got him.
Regardless, they have another running back who's good.
Yeah, they're going to have a good 1-2 punch. And weeks 10 to 17, the Colts were 6-2. Jonathan Taylor was had the second most yards per game in those weeks.
Yeah, I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to break out this year.
Yeah, and he was in the rookie of the year conversation. I think he's going to be one of the best in the league for years to come, but this year alone, I think he's going to obviously take a huge step up.
Wentz is obviously connecting back with Frank Reich.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
Hopefully he can rejuvenate his career. And if he does, then I think the Colts win the division. I think the Colts will go, depending on if Wentz is good, I think they'll finish 12-5. I think the Colts are that good.
Yeah, I think the Colts win 12, maybe. Probably not 13.
I'd say 11-6,
yeah,
12-5.
Yeah, I think 11 or 12 wins. I think the Titans get 9, maybe 10. I don't think they're going to have as great of a years. Everyone's so focused on that superstar core of Henry, Jones, and Brown, but the team defensively alone isn't deep. Mm-hmm. And the Colts are so deep, just everywhere around.
Across the board.
I think they'll have one of the better offensive lines in the league. I think they have the best offensive lineman in Quentin Nelson. Mm-hmm. He takes a lot of slack, but he's dominant out there.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard's a beast. Buckner is so underrated.
Very underrated.
So and getting Hilton back was big.
Really, like all defensive linemen not named Aaron Donald are so underrated because Aaron Donald is that good.
Yeah, he's so heavily focused on.
Everybody just talks about him.
Yeah. The Colts, I think they'll definitely have a top 10 defense. I think they could even have a top 5 defense in the league this year. I think the Rams are going to be out there, obviously. The Ravens are always going to be there. Steelers and
maybe.
The football team will be there as well.
Washington football team. I think they're going to be a really good team.
Yeah, and I think the Colts will be right there with those guys. So I don't think they run away with the division by any means. I think it's up in the air. I think the Titans can definitely take it. Mm-hmm. But looking at their rosters now, looking at what they did last year and the additions they both have, I think the Colts are going to be the better team.
I agree. I think the Colts win the division, and the Titans will contend for a wild card spot.
Yeah.
And the AFC is deep this year. I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of flipped. Before, it was like the NFC was the best by far, and the AFC was top-heavy. Now it's completely flipped, in my opinion.
The AFC still is kind of top-heavy with like the Chiefs and the Bills, but just 3 through 9. Like they're all teams that can battle. So it's going to be super interesting. I think Carson Wentz is the biggest question mark. I think he's going to have a really big comeback year.
So that's why he's my pick for MVP.
Yeah, MVP. Yeah.
My division MVP, though.
Yeah, I initially thought Wentz, because he can be the MVP. He was an MVP level player when he was in Philly. And
divisional MVP.
Divisional MVP.
Not league MVP.
Yeah, for AFC South MVP. Like last week, who did you pick? Brady?
I picked, Brady. Just because of the...
Yeah, I had McCaffrey because I just think he could just do so much. I don't think they'll make the playoffs or anything, but... Yeah. He'll make a huge impact. I think I stay with running back here. I think it's going to be Derrick Henry again because I think he'll have another 2,000-yard rushing season.
Another one?
I think he's going to have another one because he's not going to have to rush as much as he did because of Julio, and because there's going to be a lot of attention on Julio with Brown as well. The run game's going to be even better.
I think because they got Julio Jones, they're going to pass the ball more and be less dependent on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it can go either way. It really could. Like he could struggle a bit because he's not getting the ball as much.
He's not going to struggle.
He's not going to struggle.
He'll still be at the top of the league in rushing, but I just don't think he'll get as many carries because they're going to preserve him a little bit more.
Yeah, I think
pass more.
He won't get as many carries, but I think he'll have more yards per carry because he's not going to be as tired. He's not going to be as heavily used. Mm-hmm. And he can be in the pass game a lot more as well. We saw it a bit more this year. This past season, he was a part of it a lot more. I think he'll be even more added to it. That was a horrible sentence. But yeah, I think Derrick Henry is my MVP for the division because I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation regardless, I think. Mm-hmm. Especially Offensive Player of the Year alone. But
yeah. I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below, and we'll see y'all next week. Take it easy.
Stay well.
Peace.